Um, so my name's Adam. I'm a crystal child in a Melchizedek. I decided to make a Melchizedek video today. I just made my crystal child video and I kind of like the way it went. Just kind of, not telling you what it is, just telling you what it looked like to me, like in these visions. So I think I'm just going to do that again. So I had one vision about it, like before I ever knew I was a Melchizedek. My friend who's a Pleiadian, I had a vision of her. Not like a little fleeting one where you're confused about it. It was like one of those visions when it's in your face, like written on the wall, like there's no way to escape it kind of a vision. And she said, "That reptilian didn't understand you. That's a starseed from a whole nother universe." It was like one of the funniest visions because she has this accent, like broken English, that she can't really speak English very well. So that was like years before I knew I was Melchizedek. I saw it like that. I was like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm from another universe? Like, so yeah, years later I learned I was a Melchizedek. And to be honest, I don't know what it is. Like, it does look to me like I do this better than other crystal children, other star seeds. It looks to me like I'm an older Melchizedek, if that's even the right word. My Melchizedek reading is that my home world star is twice the size that these other Melchizedek could hope for, and that I could teach them about every single problem that they have to fix and heal. And I can tell you more about me, like probably later in another video, like how this is showing up in my life, that I am probably, well, it definitely does look, not probably, like I appear to be this much more evolved Melchizedek than they could even hope for, basically, is exactly how it's worded. So you'll probably get this pretty well out of me, just talking about what it looks like. I haven't been to Junbalo's school. I watched like the trailer video, and he talked about this like 500 years in the future thing, and I thought that was interesting because I had just had a vision about that 500 year thing, so mine lined up with his, like that was a real school. And it's like how the universe, like the synchronicity of the universe, like I have the vision, and like maybe not very long after, I forget, weeks, months, something like that, I end up watching his video, and like he's talking about 500 years in the future, that we have these things to accomplish now, and if we don't get it done now, like we won't have it then. So he and I saw that the same, basically. I didn't see anything about 144 dimensions yet, I guess. Like, I've visualized 144 chakras, and I've done meditations like that, and like created 144 dimensions in these meditations that I would use, but I never have had a guide teach me about 144 or anything. But yeah, actually using that modeling seemed to work. It kind of worked. I kind of created this like 13th dimension. Like they have the 12 chakra system, which would be like your 12th chakra is the universe chakra, your 11th chakra is your galaxy chakra, your 10th chakra is your solar system chakra. So then I created this like 13th chakra, which is just beyond the universe. And this like whole dimension opened up, and it turned, there was like a room kind of, and these different star seeds were there. So that like really worked really well, it seemed like. It wasn't anything different than any other vision though. I don't know like if that was even necessary. I guess it was. It's a real chakra. I found that that 12 chakra system was very useful, even if it's just a model or something. It worked basically. Aliens used it. They didn't. It wasn't just something I created. Like they worked with that like really in depth, not just like kind of toying with it or something. Like they really took it really far that way. Yeah, there's this one thing about a Melchizedek. One of the readings that keeps coming up is that a Melchizedek will just put it down where other people wouldn't. And where it came up for me was when I was a skateboarder, when I was a kid. I was like looking back at it and like wondering about my childhood and stuff. And I started getting these like psychic information about how when I was a skateboarder, I like put down the skateboard and I went out to like catch a killer, basically. Like I'm with that 12 chakra system, one of the things the aliens did was develop me as the world's most advanced remote viewer, which I didn't know that's what I was when I was a kid, but I guess that's what was happening. Like there was a killer on my friends and I was like really into skateboarding, and I just kind of put it down and went out to kill this killer, and I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Like I guess there was some kind of internal higher self type of a guidance thing, maybe. So that's when I first started to learn about how a Melchizedek would just put it down and like go out and save the world or something like that, or they might not realize that's what they're doing. See, I don't know everything about what that means to put it down. It kind of reminds me of the end of that, the Zeitgeist addendum, when at the screens in New York, like all the screens on the buildings, the movie screens, like the big TVs or whatever, and what is it, Manhattan or whatever, Times Square, they all turn to like static, and the guy like drops his gun, and like everybody's eyes open up like that, and like they just put it down. That's kind of how it reminds me, which is kind of how I am. Like that's how I always kind of pictured it. Like I was a little bit like, well, I grew up in the mafia, so I kind of looked at myself like darker and harder, but I just like didn't kind of, I would like I learned how to like let things go from some of the people I knew. I just kind of like sit back and relax. People would be like climbing all over me, and I was just like, whatever. That was kind of how I was. I remember being like that, like in my 20s. Which no guides talked about that as like putting it down, but I do remember being like that. That's just how I was. I remember being kind of quiet as a kid, and I guess it's a crystal child thing to be like a babysitter. There's not very many crystal children, like, so there might be like one or two in a circle of friends growing up, and then everybody else is like their kids, and they don't know about it because they don't know they're crystal children and stuff like that. But you can just feel it, that there's something like that happening, where like they'll be making fun of everybody, and you're kind of like, oh boy, here we go again. Like it's immature time and stuff like that. And like I remember thinking that a lot, and yeah. So what else can I say? I had this other vision where there was all these aliens in another dimension, like looking over this universe, but this universe was like another universe, and I was like an alien that could go from this other universe into this universe. Like I could just like reach into it and go into it. So I think maybe these Melchizedek might be somehow different that way, that they are kind of awake in some other dimension, like looking into this one, and they can just come in here and like manipulate it or something if they want to, or teach it, whatever they do. I don't know if that's what it is. That's just kind of how it looked. It was like a weird vision, like lucid dream kind of thing. It was that I could just come into this universe, basically, is what the vision was. See, I don't know what that vision is going to mean. It's not something that I understood very well at all, but it was definitely there. Like, see, but basically, like, one of the starseed schools had taught me, or the information had been passed along to me, basically, that, like, Arcturians ascend to the 12th dimension, and Pleiadians to the 11th, and, like, reptilians ascend to the 7th dimension. And that kind of, so then, like, 13 would be, like, your Melchizedek would be the one that goes to the 13th. Jubala did 144, like 12 times 12, which might be real. I honestly have no idea what that would even mean. 13 worked for me to use that, but I honestly don't even know if that's accurate about Arcturians going to 12, Pleiadians to 11. But I can say is that it does look like an Arcturian would be able to relate to me better than a Pleiadian would in my visions. Like, I do have that, because I have friends that are crystal children, like this one's a Pleiadian, this one's an Arcturian. And this one is going to be, the Pleiadian's going to be like fuzzy, trying to relate to me when I talk to this Arcturian one, is one of the things I'm learning about. She's not going to, it's going to go kind of over her head or something like that. So it does look like there is like these levels, and maybe it has to do with this, how big the homeworld star is. Like Arcturus is a bigger star, so that person is gonna have a further developed light. Maybe That's probably what like the sun would be the light. So that probably is kind of what it is. But I didn't see all Arcturians as real bright people. Like, some of them were kind of dim, is some of the psychic readings I have on it. So I don't really know what that's going to add up to exactly. But I did see that, like, this Arcturian crystal child is going to be a little bit is going to have an easier time with me than the Pleiadian crystal child would. So yeah, I don't know if I would go ahead and use the 13 chakras or 144. I would mess around with both of them if you're a Melchizedek and kind of see what happens. That worked out really, really well for me, to follow that 12 chakra system and then take it a little bit further. Like, that worked really well. What else? So yeah, it looks like my homeworld star has some kind of pull, or might have a pull. I don't have that reading done on how this is working. Like, there's so many things going on in my life, like supernatural type stuff where you're like, what the hell, you know what I mean? It seems like my homeworld star might be like pulling on people's consciousness. Like, let's say I'm the oldest Melchizedek in the world, which is basically how I look to myself. Like, no joke, that's honestly what that looks like to me. So then the whole world is telepathic, and so everybody's mind would be like looking for something real, basically, and they'd basically be looking for me. I would be like the most real person. So everybody's mind is kind of doing me, and like the way my life's going to go, the way it's going to look to me, what I'm going to want, maybe. It kind of looks like the whole world is on me like that, and they don't know about it. They don't even know, like, they didn't even know it exists. I started telling people about this stuff lately, and I don't know what that looks like to everybody yet. It's still kind of new to me, even. But yeah, I do think that it is probably that, like, I don't know if it's because they're looking for something real, or if it's just that I'm just pulling them into my world, or what it is. Like, a long time before I started to notice that I had that, like, that people were doing me like that, it's something I noticed. It's not something I'm wondering about. Like, I found that the whole world is kind of doing me like that. And before I noticed it that way, I noticed that as a child, that I started to notice things like that. I'll make another video about that. But before I noticed it, really developed this kind of a reading that I was that kind of a person. I used to hang out in like blog talk, radio chat rooms, and I would listen to the psychic mediums like give people readings. And I would see like my dead friend appear, like my girlfriend or something, and then the psychic would be talking to the caller, but she would start describing, like, I was a medium too, and she would start describing the spirits that I was seeing, like, around me. Like the medium, like I was pulling the medium into my world while she's trying to talk to the caller. Like, I started to get afraid to go into those chat rooms because I thought that I would ruin it for the caller, because I would like pull the psychic and she would start telling me about the spirits around me instead of around that person. And she wouldn't know it. She would just be like, I see this, but she was reading my world. Like, we were all, it was a live show, and I was listening to the call. We're all like telepathic, and it was, so like my mind seemed to be pulling them. And I had no idea that I was this Melchizedek. I didn't know anything about the stuff that I know now. But I was able to, I developed like, not necessarily a fear. I was just like, I'm going to ruin it if I even go listen. Like, they're just going to start talking to me instead. And so then years later, I really did develop a sense that the whole world is on me in my life. And so yeah, this is like a crazy time. Like, I didn't know if I should be making YouTube videos, to be honest. Like, I've been committed. Like, I had a serious, like, I got attacked by a mass murderer who had me committed. Like, they paid psychiatrists to lie about me. Like, I'm really not that crazy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm actually a very clear person. They had to lie really bad. They said I beat up my brother when it was the other way around. He didn't beat me up, he tried to. He broke his finger, like, trying to hit me and stuff. They said I flipped out and lost control, like, beating him up. And I never did. He lost control and broke his finger on me. It was complete opposite. He was trying to kick my head into a steel staircase. Like, he was trying to murder me, you know what I mean? He flipped out. I was like a breakdancer. He's the one who got hurt on me. Like, I was really good at moving around or something like that. I've been attacked before. I was always good at that for some reason, like blocking people. So I didn't get hurt, and he did. Like, he broke his finger on me. And then they're like lying in court about me. The judge, the psychiatrist said I threatened her. I should just go ahead and put this in this video, like, since I'm going to talk about it. Like, they lied really, really bad. Like, not like little white lies. Like, this psychiatrist straight up went into court and said I threatened her and all this stuff. And what I had done, like, literally what I had done. And a nurse, like, said she would straight up testify that this is what happened. I warned the psychiatrist, like, it's like, if you go in there and lie about me, like, I'm going to take your life away. Like, there's going to be people coming after you to take your life away from you. Like, I will have to, like, if you testify in court, and the psychiatrist's like, are you threatening me? Don't threaten me. Like, this is like an Indian, like, third world, like, retard that went to Harvard, you know what I mean? I asked her in court, I was like, have you ever, I got my lawyer to ask her in court, have you ever even studied psychics? Have you ever taken a course in shamanism? She's like, no. Like, she does not think it's even possible. She's like a retard, basically, compared to me. That's really clear to me. Like, she went in there and lied like a fucking 5-year-old child, dude. Like, I wouldn't just go out and, like, tell people about it and she would get killed or something, you know what I mean? That's how bad it was. Like, I grew up in the mafia, you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, actually I have a psychic reading on these psychiatrists that commit people. Like, those people are all, like, suicidal. Like, they like, want someone to murder them. That's how corrupt. Like, it looks to me like we don't need, like, a little change in the psychiatry department. Like, we need to, like, put, like, 50% of those psychiatrists in prison. Like, that's how they're, like, taking people's lives away with, like, blatant lies, like a 5-year-old. Like, and they have, like, some Harvard degree, like, that matters or something. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously didn't get taught a single thing about a human mind. They just learned about drugs from pharmaceutical companies that were, like a pharmaceutical company paid money to write their textbooks and lie to them to get them to go, like, poison psychics and murder them, people like me. That's kind of how it looks. Like, it does look to me like pharmaceutical companies have been basically contracted by the government to murder psychics in the whole psychiatry field. The judges who commit people, all of them, that's like a giant, like, mass murderer to control psychics and things like that. It's a concentration camp, like Nazi Germany or something. I had a really funny time. Like, one time I was in the psych ward, like, 15, 20 years ago or something like that. There was a woman that was, like, obviously, like, really out of control, psychotic, like, she freaked out. Like, they brought her in there and she started screaming that she was in a concentration camp and we're all Nazis. I looked at her, I was like, you think I'm a Nazi? I'm, like, in here with you, you know what I mean? She's like, you're all Nazis! Like, she's screaming. They had to, like, hold her down and shoot her up. They strapped her down and, like, everything. But I remember thinking, like, I was like, that lady doesn't even look that crazy, because, like, they're, like, you know what I mean? Like, when you see somebody going through that against their will, it's like, and she wasn't doing anything. She was just sitting there, like, yelling at them for doing that to her. But she was real crazy looking. But it was, like, it was the idea that it was delusional to call everyone Nazis and it's a concentration camp. Like, that didn't, like, my mind's, like, thinking about it, it's like, this is not that crazy of a thought to call it a concentration camp or something like that. Like, she looked crazy, like, obviously, like, most people would just go along with it that she's crazy or something, but, I kind of was able to give it to her that if she didn't, like, physically hurt somebody, I wouldn't have done that to her, basically. But I still went along with it, that she looked like she was fighting with everything she had, like, screaming at the top of her lungs when, like, she fought them when they were trying to do that to her. But yeah, no, like, real calm now, like, after these psychiatrists and judges did that. Yeah, this is the funniest part of it. Like, the judge, when she committed me, this is what she said. She's like, we think that you're delusional because you think that the mob is lying to everybody around you. Like, that's the reason that she gave to commit me. Because I think that the mafia is, like, lying to people. That's why I'm delusional. Like, I grew up in the mob, you know what I mean? And, like, I have, like, bodies all around me. Like, this judge isn't gonna get caught up by a dude like me. Like, there's bodies fucking everywhere, dude. Dead people, kids in the forest, in the ditch on the side of the road, little fucking girls, like everything, you know what I mean? Like, that's what my life looks like. So I'm crazy because I think that the mob lies to people around me about things like that. No, that judge, those people, like, I knew, like, I didn't have to, like, being committed was my own choice. Like, I could have taken medication for a couple of days and they would have just let me go. And the spirit guide was like, he tells me to fight it. They're like, go ahead and fight it, it'll take her whole life away. And so right after court, like, I lost, I went in there, they lied, they committed me. It wasn't a big deal, like, it is a big deal because they're lying about me out there right now. Like, the president's trying to murder psychics and everything. David Rockefeller, everybody's trying to murder me right now lately, it seems like. Yeah, so this is, I think I really am going to put this video up so you guys can see, like, that this is, like, if you're a starseed, like, you will learn it from me that that's how bad they are. To silence, like, I'm sitting here catching a killer. It's how bad they lied and how stupid they look. Like, I can get a transcript of this, you know what I mean, and show them that my family runs the Maywood racetrack. They run the betting booths, like the movie Casino, you know what I mean? They're Italian. They look like gangsters. They talk about the mafia all around my family, around little kids. They talk about murdering people like it's a fucking TV show or something, you know what I mean? Like, that's what my nieces and nephews see. And I could just tell my family, tell my nieces and nephews, this judge said that you're crazy because you think that the mafia lies to people. You're crazy because you think the mafia lies to people. That's how stupid and bad it was. So yeah, maybe if I was in there talking about being a Melchizedek and all this, and trying to convince them that I talked to Jesus, like, no, I wasn't that stupid. Like, I did tell them, like, I'm a psychic, I have visions of, like, angels and stuff, like, whatever. I wasn't in there, like, screaming and preaching about Jesus or something, you know what I mean? Like, I was like this, like how I am now. I had a sense of humor. Like, I was running around, like, having fun with all the patients, making them laugh and stuff, like. So yeah, these people are really, really bad. Like, they're straight up serial killers that belong in prison. Like, we do not need a little change in the psychiatry department. Like, we need to put, like, the whole entire industry in prison. Like, everybody. Like, I'm not kidding you. That's literally, not even just psychiatrists. Like, you know that, okay, remember how I told you that my homeworld star, like, pulls on people and it, okay, the song Scrub, No Scrubs by TLC, Tender Loving Care. Like, scrubs are like the doctors and the nurses and the counselors all wear scrubs in a hospital. I will teach you more about this, but basically, like, I get channeled messages and stuff like that. So I don't know if TLC they probably had no idea that would even correlate to Scrubs, like the TV show Scrubs, Psych Ward Scrubs. Like, all those people lie. The counselors, like, they were, like, really abusive in there. So yeah, if you're a Melchizedek, to be honest, the government is gonna want to fucking kill you. Like, that's how good of a psychic you are. You'll be able to put a big gangster in prison. You'll be able to kill the president. You'll be able to be, like, that good of a psychic that they will murder you like that. Like, that's what a Melchizedek is. If you really want to know, that is what it is. I caught a killer and they did that to me instead of putting the killer in prison. Like, I grew up in the mafia and they did this to me. So yeah, it isn't, it is a better psychic that they're willing to do that to. I do see that way. So this Melchizedek video is probably the right place to tell you about this, to be very honest with you. Like, that is how afraid they are of us. And a person like me, yes. So yeah, go with the song TLC Scrubs and just say that you don't even want anybody that works in the psych ward. Put the counselors in prison, put the psychiatrists in prison, put anybody that would say anything a lie about a patient, put them in prison. Like they're a serial killer that's trying to go into court and lie and take your life away and murder you. Like, even if it's just an immature, like, person making $10 an hour, and that's your little power, that's the serial killer, you know what I mean? That's how, I'm not even joking you, that's what that looked like to me. Like, they abuse, I was not like your crazy one in there, you know what I mean? There was obviously people talking to the wall and stuff like that. Like, those kind of people, like, well, not those kind of people, but, like, the ones that were crazy, or, like, the people from the ghetto that are real, that you, I mean, I'm not a real racist dude or anything. Like, a black person could see that those people look crazy, you know what I mean? So, like, those people were being abused in there by the workers, like, shooting them up against their will when there was no need for it. I saw a lot of that going on in there. They shot me up against my will. The psychiatrist said I threatened her when I told her if she lied about me in court, that people would take her life away. And she said I threatened her and shot me up with Haldol. She said I was, like, threatening her like that, you know what I mean? I was like, no, I'm not threatening you, I'm telling you the truth, that it would be the natural order, like, of consequences, that if you lied about me in court, I would have to go out and tell people to stand up for myself, that this is what really happened. And then you'd have people coming after you for the rest of your life.